Hi guys, and welcome to the late review of chapter 856 of One Piece. Yes, 56, that's it. I really like this chapter. I'm really sad that I couldn't do a live reaction because I did cry in the end. I can pinpoint exactly when I cried, but to sum up my live reaction, it would probably have been something like this. Oh, what the heck happened to Bobbin? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, ah! Something like that. So yeah, let's just go into it. Let's start with Bobbin because I mentioned him. It's like I haven't even seen anyone talk about it, but I'm pretty sure that we can agree that the person who shot Bobbin, because yes, it was a gunshot, that it said that in the beginning, is Capone, or at the very least his crew, because it just makes sense as Capone, both story-wise and just with the silhouettes and the way that Bobbin was hanging out, because it was gunshots and they're the mafia, they use weapons and mostly guns. Also because Jinbei talked about them, even though that was kind of implicit, like with Peckham's, when he talked about Peckham's almost having died due to an incident. That was obviously Capone trying to kill him off. So it just makes sense that it was Capone because he was mentioned in the chapter, and just the way that it was done, and the fact that we haven't seen him for a long time, and the arc is like reaching the climax, and we need all players to kind of like tie everything up together. So it makes sense for it to be Capone, also because he's the only character whose side we don't know exactly what's going to do, and just has free hands, unlike Caesar, and probably others who, and I don't know. So yeah, it was probably Capone. Let's move on, because that's really not interesting when I believe we can all agree that it was Capone, unless someone has a really weird theory, or I just missed something very obvious and everyone actually agrees that it was someone else. So yeah, I don't know. We also have the Beansmokes drinking a lot, apparently drinking the girls under the table. And they're talking about, oh, it's going to be so great to have Big Mom and outside, we can take back the North, and you just have all the homies being like, ha, 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 no. Like, I just love when you have like the ellipses from the homies just being like, yeah, just keep thinking that, great, and then you just have all the guards out just making sure that they won't go out because they need to just stay there so they can be killed off in a few hours. Which, you know, great. Just great. And the thing is, because we don't really care too much about them, but you know, it's funny. It's kind of funny. We have let me go back to Jinbei though, because we have the Nami, Jinbei, Chopper group. They're kind of exchanging information at this point. I don't know if Nami has mentioned to them yet that Pudding is super evil, but we at the very least have Chopper finding out, or Chopper's group finding out, that Luffy and Sanji had a fight. We have Jinbei telling them that the wedding is set up. I actually don't believe he used those words exactly, but he said something is about to go down. I think he also mentioned the Beansmokes won't live through it or something like that. I don't know, but I'm guessing at this point they're just exchanging all the information that they have, because that's quite important, because they all have different parts of information. Like, as I said, Nami knows about Pudding. Chopper probably has some information that I'm forgetting that he has. Brooke spent some time with Big Mom, and Jinbei of course has insider knowledge, so if we just put all of that together, it should work out somewhat. And also Nami knows where Luffy and Sanji probably are, and Sanji knows the last part, that, you know, the Beansmokes are gonna be slaughtered, and the wedding is set up, and everything's just gonna go to hell. So there's that. And just lastly, before I get into the Sanji stuff, because that's what we all want to talk about, Nami's expressions through this chapter were just like adorable. Like the little pout she made when Jinbei said it was gonna be quite hard to get Sanji back or whatever. He said like the thing that people have said throughout this entire arc. Like she made that little pout, like that was really cute. Like that was just cute as fuck. So let's get into the Sanji stuff, because that just broke my heart. Damn, I loved that a lot. I was crying. Because I read this in the hotel room as well, and I had my brother sitting just opposite me, and I just started bawling, and he was like, the heck is wrong with you? What are you doing? Because I was on my phone, and I was just like, the new chapter of One Piece, Sanji's yeah. He thought I was weird, as he do. kind of normal. But yeah, anyway, I just like talking about Sanji. Sanji gives Luffy food, and the parallels to Sora, his mother, are obvious at this point. I mentioned them in the last review as well, with the dog and how it was raining and the thing, and it was emphasized again in this chapter when he was like, yeah, I dropped it, there's rain on it, it's probably not that good, and then Luffy eats it and it's like, this is delicious, like his mother. And the only difference this time is that when it was with his mother, who was obviously lying when she said this food is delicious, because obviously it wasn't. Sanji was like, yes, it's delicious food, you like it. And with this, when Luffy says it's delicious, and it probably is because Luffy likes everything and Luffy doesn't lie, Sanji's like, okay, you liar, it's horrible, this is, you know, this isn't good. I like that comparison because Luffy was obviously telling the truth, but Sanji called him a liar, and with the mother, it was like he was blissfully ignorant. So I like that because it's a cute parallel of how he's grown out of that ignorant state and is more aware of everything and just puts himself down much more than he did when he was a child, which again just and we then have again Sanji's very weak, pathetic attempt at being like, Luffy, just please leave me alone, just don't save me, I don't deserve it. And Luffy calling him out on it, like punching him in the face and being like, no, you're gonna tell me the truth now, instead of giving me these 3 dumb reasons for why I shouldn't save you. And you just have Sanji breaking down and saying he wants to go home to the family, and I was just like a mess at that point. Like, I'm almost crying just talking about it. Like, I read through the chapter again before I did this review, and I was crying, and I was like, why am I crying? Why am I crying? I know what's gonna happen. So yeah, I've got tears in my eyes now. It's just, it broke my heart, because now I'm gonna tell you why this broke my heart. There are like so many reasons though. Let's start with the food, because Luffy points out in this chapter, and I don't know if I ever mentioned this before because I noticed this when he made the food the first time, but I know I mentioned that there was meat and it looked like a very Luffy-ish bento box. But Luffy mentioned this in this chapter as well, that, oh, you put all of our favorite meats, or all of our favorite foods in this. And the thing if you go back to the chapter where Sanji first made the bento box, and you look at what's in it, and you compare it to the SPS where Oda answered what all the Straw Hats' favorite foods were, you can find almost everyone's favorite food in that bento box. Like, there's the fish, which is Usopp, then there's like the rice and the meat, which is Luffy and Zoro. There is a sandwich, I believe, which is Robin. There's some fruit probably, which is Nami, and some other things put in there, which is, again, like, it's all of the Straw Hats' favorite food, which was why I said in the beginning, this food is obviously gonna go to Luffy, because it looks like a Luffy bento box. But the reason that this broke my heart is because Luffy is known for eating food like at a really fast pace, like he doesn't even think about what the heck it is, he just eats really quickly. Especially when he's hungry, like he just inhales the food. Impel Down is a really good example of that. But here, he is literally pruned up like he is dying, he is on his deathbed. He looks like Sanji when he was starving as a child, which I don't believe I mentioned, but like, again, parallels. And he eats the food slowly enough to notice these things, like he knows his crew so well, he knows all their favorite foods, and he instantly recognizes, even though this bento box is battered, it's wet, it's just broken, it's a mess, and he's just like, hey, you put all our favorite foods in this, it's delicious. Ah! It broke my heart. I love Luffy a lot, so this is the reason he's my favorite character. This is the reason he'll always be my favorite character, it's because of small things like this. My god, Oda just made the best character ever. The second reason that this just breaks my heart is just because it shows how selfless Sanji is. That you needed Luffy to yell at him, punch him in the face, all these people telling him what a good person he is before he ever tried to attempt telling anyone what his selfish desire was. And then, like, just after he says that little heartbreaking line about wanting to go home, he says, but I can't find the strength to do it because he's so selfless and he's so, and this is again like another parallel to when he left the Verity, because he didn't want to leave the Verity because of the debt that he had to save and blah blah blah. even though Seth knew, Sanji knew, Luffy knew that all he wanted to do was to join Luffy, go on adventures, try to find the All Blue because that was his dream. He wanted to go out, be a pirate, follow his dreams. But because he's a selfless person, he decided that, okay, I need to stay here in the Barity. And Seth slapped him in the face. Luffy, here, again, when Sanji refuses to acknowledge that he has desires that he perceives as selfish because he punches him in the face because it's apparently the way that's the only way to make Sanji listen to you. And it's, parallels, guys, parallels. And another thing, I have so many reasons for why this is so heartbreaking. The third reason is Sanji and Luffy's bond, because think about this for a moment. The only person Sanji's ever broken down in front of the crew is Luffy, because he's only had like proper crying episodes twice. Here, probably just after the Luffy fight, but they didn't see him at that point, so that doesn't count. And when he left the Barity, and if you remember, Luffy was the only one there because Nami had left, taking the Mary to go to Arlong, and Zoro and Usopp had followed her. So Luffy was the only one there. Luffy's also the only one who knows about Sanji's past. Generally, Sanji and Luffy has a really strong bond because when I actually believe that Sanji's past is the only one that Luffy knows of. He knows some of Brook's stories as well, I believe, but we as the readers don't even know all of Brook's stories, so so I really like that Luffy is the only one there to see Sanji just break down and cry, and for the first time in this entire arc say that all he wants to do is to go back to the Sunny. And then even then just not Sanji, oh my god, my boy. Okay. I really like the emotional bond that the two of them have, because Luffy is that kind of person where you tell your deepest secrets, you tell your insecurities, and he's just like, okay, that's fine. I'll help you through it. We'll crash the wedding together. We'll save the Vinsmokes, even though we all hate them, but you kind of want to save them anyway, so let's save them. We'll do that because we're here for you. We're all here for you. Oh, yes. Yes. Because this is what I talk about again in the Sanji analysis. If you haven't seen it, half an hour I was talking about Sanji not knowing, or not knowing the experience of unconditional love, because even though he shows it and gives it to other people, he doesn't believe that he deserves it, or he doesn't know that he has it, like that his crew loves him. And this is again just one of those examples, because he's like, leave me alone, I dishonored you, I did all these horrible things, and I kind of want to save these people that I hate, and because Sanji doesn't understand that he's loved, so he's just like trying to shoulder it all alone, and then Luffy's just like smiling at him saying that, no, we want to help you, we love you, and I just really like this arc. Yes, and I know there's some people who are gonna complain that it took Sanji again this long to, like, be selfish, because it looked like when he ran to Luffy he was gonna do that, and I actually believe that at that point he was unconsciously already made the decision that, okay, I'm gonna accept the help Luffy's giving him. But again, he's just, because he struggles so much with these things, like being selfish, understanding that people love him, he struggles with that a lot and constantly. And again, that's why I told you that he knew that this conversation was gonna end with it going Luffy's way. Again, why he stood with his back to him, and as soon as he faced him, he broke down and cried. And I like that a lot. I really like that. I also just want to point out one little thing that I found really cute, because we have, just before Sanji says, I want to go home to the Sunny, he has these flashbacks where we just see him cry, and he has a flashback to the Straw Hat crew. And I want to point out, we have two panels of the Straw Hat crew, and the only two characters who appear twice are Luffy and Brook, which I find really interesting, because it makes sense for Luffy to be the person I just talked about, their emotional bond, and just, I really believe that, like, Sanji, like, Luffy has something special with everyone, and I have talked about a lot of times that I believe that he has something really special with Zoro and something really special with Usopp, but he also has something really special with Sanji, like, on a very emotional level. It's very different from the thing with Usopp and Zoro, because with Usopp it's like the very it's like the best friend vibe you get, and with Zoro it's just the instant understanding, like they have like their minds are connected, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I don't know. But I find it really interesting that Brook is there twice, because I talked to some of you actually a few weeks back, maybe even 2 months I believe, maybe, I don't know, at some point. I talked with 1 or 2 of you about how Sanji and Brook are very alike. And it's very easy to see like they're both perverts there. They have like the gentleman-ish vibe, they use French attacks, both their styles are aggressive yet also very elegant. Fighting, did I mention that was fighting I was talking about? So I just find it interesting that they're the two who, that Brook appears in both panels. It may or may not be a coincidence, or just like, whatever, but I find that quite interesting that the person that Sanji thought of twice was Luffy and Brook. I think that's all I have to say about this chapter. I really enjoyed it. I have a feeling that it's gonna rub some people the wrong way, but I also have a feeling that some people are gonna really like it. And there really should be no doubt now. Like, I'm really gonna call bullshit if Sanji starts like really doubting. Because it makes sense that he still struggles with making selfish decisions, but at this point he has probably just submitted to Luffy. Which is the way that it should be. It really makes more sense for Luffy to be the one to bring him to the other side rather than Reiju. Because while Reiju has been kind to him and all that stuff, like, Luffy is the one who he has a bond with. Luffy is the person that he loves. You know, platonically. It's another cute ship, but yeah. Sanji is as straight as they get, I guess, so yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna stop now because, yeah, I'll probably just ramble about Sanji for 10 minutes if I don't stop now. So, if you liked anything that I had to say, you can leave a thumbs up on the video. Leave in the comments below what you thought of this chapter and what you thought of the things that I had to say. And you can subscribe if you want to see more. Next week next week I'm back to my regular schedule, but there's no One Piece, so I think I want to do the character analysis for Luffy because a few people were asking for it and I really want to do it. And I feel like it actually fits a lot with this chapter because, yeah. So I'm probably gonna do that. So if you want to see that, you can subscribe. And until next time, bye.